But that reminds me of a type 7, not because they lack direction, but because they have tried almost everything. They use life like a buffet, sampling every dish to make sure they didn't miss out on something really tasty. It's that trial and error approach comes from their deep desire to experience it all, to find what truly brings them satisfaction and meaning. And while they might substitute constant activity for genuine fulfillment along the way, what they're really chasing here, beneath all the plans and the passions, is that lasting sense of happiness, contentment, and inner freedom. So that's kind of like our general core blueprints of our 7. So let's go our next little segment, as you know. Let's talk about the light side. Let's celebrate the joy first, because 7s, they deserve a parade. They want to be the center of attention, probably. I do. I like it. 99% of the time, I like being the center of attention. Hence the podcast, solo podcast. Anyway, so healthy 7s, oh my God, are like walking sunshine. They see life through the lens of possibility. They remind the rest of us that joy just isn't allowed, it's absolutely essential. Okay. They're spontaneous. They're like, even in their healthiest state, because when we talk about the shadow side, it's going to feel like as they, let's not jump ahead here. Okay. Let's just stay on track. But 7s are spontaneous. They're imaginative, quick witted, and endlessly curious. You gotta love it. Their minds are like popcorn machines. That's what, the ideas just keep popping, baby. One moment they're brainstorming the road trip, and the next they're inventing a new business, planning the dinner party next month, and texting 5 group chats about it simultaneously. My boyfriend, I'm 99% sure he's a type 7. He still needs to take the official test, so we're not set on that. But you would not believe how many group chats that he's in. And I thought I was the extrovert. But underneath all this chaos is real genius. They're visionaries who see patterns and opportunities that other people just miss. And their optimism gives them incredible resilience. Love that. They can bounce back from disappointment faster than you can say, new plan. 7s also have a magnetic enthusiasm that lifts everyone around them, because again, you need to find one of these guys. They're the life of the party and the emotional glue that keeps that party from falling apart. Don't you just love those types of people? Like when you're at a get together and you're so glad that so and so is there, because you won't feel that pressure to keep the conversation going or you're going to run out of fun. If you know somebody like that, they're probably a 7. But they also bring levity to serious conversations, creativity to boring projects, and adventure to everyday life. So when 7s are in health and at their best and they stick around there, these are their superpowers. Playful but purposeful, optimistic but wise. They're not faking the optimism there. Charismatic and adaptable. They're curious learners who see life as a playground for discovery. And lastly, they're encouraging friends who help others see like the silver lining. Like that's really nice. I know I'm like that. The 7 is part of my grouping, so I really do love seeing the silver lining, even if people hate that. But when they're really grounded, they remind us that joy and presence are not opposites, that pleasure isn't the same as escape, right? And that true freedom comes from not running away from life, but running toward it with open arms. So, for example, you have that friend who's always planning the next thing, okay, the next trip, project, idea, whatever. But when they're healthy, they can also sit with you on a quiet night. You're laughing until 2 a.m. and have these really profound and deep conversations that have you leaving like you have a brand new lease on life. Like I feel that every time I'm around my brother and I'm talking about the podcast here or just ideas that I have, like he's just there. He loves it. He gives me all these ideas and encouragement. And I just, every time I'm around him, I just leave being like, yes, this new like motivation surge inside of me. And that's a proper type 7 right there. So, and it's the magic of a healthy 7. Their excitement for life becomes contagious and it's not chaotic. Okay. So, who wants to see or guess? Who wants to take a guess where a healthy seven goes when they actualize themselves and remain healthy? Taking a guess? The arrows for the 7 are unexpected, I will say, but 7's integration arrow points right at the type 5. My arrow in stress goes to 5. And so we have a lot in common here. Well, you'll see. Next week, we're talking about your girl, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, right at the 5, they learn to slow down and quiet that rapid activity of their minds so that impressions can affect them more deeply, like a healthy 5. They're no longer addicted to seeking big experiences and distractions, and healthy 7s are able to stay with their observations and experiences long enough to discover all sorts of amazing things about themselves and the world around them, right? This both gives them more of the guidance that they seek and enhances their productivity and creativity as well, which seems counterproductive to them. Like someone who's trying to integrate as a healthy 7, like that's going to sound a little backwards to them. But if you just keep trudging along, just trust the process, please. But for a healthy 7, cultivating a quieter, more focused mind brings 7s into closer contact with their own inner guidance. Ooh, I got it. Try not to sneeze here. Okay. Yeah, their own inner guidance. Where do we leave them? So they're able to recognize which experiences will be of real value to them. They're no longer distracted by anxiety about making wrong choices and therefore missing out on the best course of action or something. And healthy sevens just simply know what to do. And as any type goes through this integration process of discovering their healthy arrow and remaining there, it can look or even feel like they're going to lose who they are at their core, but it's actually like so the opposite. Again, trust the process. So for the 7, this growth journey by exploring reality in greater depth and slowing down does not cause 7s to lose their spontaneity or their enthusiasm. It's quite the contrary. Again, they become more free to savor each moment. And as 7s learn to quiet their minds and tolerate the anxieties that arise, they gradually and naturally begin to open to the clarity, the insight, and knowing qualities of our healthy 5s, right? Go find a healthy 5. They'll be a good influence on y'all. But the key thing for 7s to understand here about themselves is that as long as they are directly pursuing happiness and satisfaction, they'll never attain them, which seems weird. Stay with me. Fulfillment is not the result of getting anything, right? It's a state of being that arises when we allow the richness of the present moment to touch us. It's so simple, right? And when 7s understand this and are able to let go of the conditions they place on their happiness, an inner spaciousness opens up and the simple pleasure of existing arises in them. So beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with thinking about the future, but with 7s, it's the primary way that they lose connections with the present, right? And the most challenging part of the transformative process for our 7s involves their ability to stay in contact with present reality. And this is difficult because staying more awake and present eventually brings into consciousness the very pain and deprivations that 7s have been fleeing, which we're about to dive into. So, but one point I want to bring up again, just because our sevens are more present in the moment and are slowing down, this doesn't mean they're quieting their spark or no longer planning the fun trips or coming up with fun new ideas. No, when they're in their healthy state and they stay there, their motivation, right? This is what the Enneagram is all about, the motivation. Why are we doing what we're doing? The motivation on doing those things, it shifts. They aren't planning trips to avoid their inner self or negative, difficult emotions.